Hello, and welcome to the Vegetarian Network of Austin podcast. My name is Brennan Good, and tonight we're at Bolden Creek Cafe. I'm joined by vegan ultramarathoner and now author Scott Jurek. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
All right. So, reading from the great source, the Wikipedia, Scott has been one of the most dominant ultramarathon runners in the world. He's won many races multiple times, including the Hard Rock 100 in 2007, the Badwater Ultramarathon in 05 and 06, the Sportathlon in 06, 07, and 08, and the Western States 100-mile endurance run 7 times in a row from 99 to 2005. And then in 2010, at the 24-hour World Championships in France, he won a silver medal and set a new U.S. record for distance run in 24 hours with 165.7 miles. What I want to know is, what did the person who won gold medal turn in?
Well, it was 170.
170. Okay,
Yeah,
so not too far off there. Yeah, well, either number in my book is pretty mind-blowing. So Scott is now touring for his new book, Eat and Run, which is about his ultramarathoning career. And you just had a book signing tonight at Book People, and this is what it sounded like there.
So, a great celebration howl. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
So I understand that that's how you start each race?
Yeah, I mean, it's been something. I kind of just to get myself psyched up, to get everybody else around psyched up. It's just kind of a celebratory, like, I'm alive kind of howl, and let's get this thing started and let's celebrate.
All right, and it worked on the crowd tonight, I would say. So, Eat and Run is now at number 7 on the New York Times bestseller list, or it will be in the next Sunday issue, I think.
That's correct.
All right. Is this a surprise?
I mean, I've been working my butt off to get the word out on this book, but at the same time, I have such a dedicated fan base, and I really want to say this to everybody out there that, I thank you for your support. The reason that ranking occurred is because of all of you, and I feel very honored and privileged to have the great fans that I do, as well as those that are inspired by my story. So, I feel super honored and super thankful to everyone.
Yeah, that's a pretty good run you've had of your first time out on a number of new ventures.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a competitive list. Like, I just am blown away at the same time because you got all the political books out right now. So to be number 7 on the nonfiction, I think what's great is running is alive, plant-based nutrition is alive, and people are really excited.
Either that, or you've got the best beginner's luck in the history of the planet. So
I don't know if there's such thing.
Well, you were talking about that earlier tonight about winning the races. There's no such thing as luck. So
definitely,
I certainly believe that myself. Now, there are 21 vegan recipes in the book.
Yes.
And I believe we've cleared it. We might be able to include one of them in our newsletter with the article.
I believe so, yes.
All right.
We'll make sure that you get a good one. There's several that I think are okay for publication. I'm a fan of making sure people get free information, so there'll be some good ones, definitely.
Well, I really appreciate that. So earlier today, before you did your book signing, you ran a 5K with something like 150 people. Do you normally plan things like this before your book signings?
That is something that I'm doing on this whole tour. So in each city, I do a run beforehand. I know it's a little crazy because I literally get to towel off, do a Superman change in a bathroom, and then come out and speak to a large crowd, which tonight I think we had over 300 people. You've
been getting turnouts in the hundreds so far already, right?
Yeah, I mean, in New York City, we had over 625 people show up. Chicago, we had over 450. In a lot of these locations, we're getting 200 to 250. Right. And so, it's been exciting. It's been a lot of fun. It's fun for me because I draw a lot of motivation and inspiration from hearing everybody's stories. It's enjoyable. It's definitely tiring. I won't admit. It's been a long haul.
How much longer is the tour going to be going on?
Well, I've got another week of touring. I'm headed to my home state, Minnesota, tomorrow. I'll be in Minneapolis.
All right.
And then I head over to Michigan for a couple of events in Grand Rapids and Lansing. And then I head back to Seattle for the Rock and Roll Marathon Expo, and then home, Denver, close to home.
Okay, yeah.
Which is Boulder, Colorado right now. So,
okay, all right. Did you decide to live in Boulder to train for the high altitude thing, or is it skiing that lured you there?
It's definitely the running aspect. I mean, I've never lived so close to mountains. I feel very, just a gift to be able to be so close to mountains. And I've got a lot of my younger buddies who are living and training there. So, and plus the whole sports community, the climbers, the triathletes, the other road runners and cyclists. It's just a great endurance community to kind of draw inspiration and fuel my kind of like passion and pursuit. So yeah, it's a good place to be right now.
When you're working on this sort of thing, you want to be around the people who are doing the same sort of thing.
Exactly.
Now, regarding an ultramarathon, what exactly defines that? Is it simply anything longer than a regular marathon?
That's the formal definition. They typically start at 50 kilometers, 31 miles, go on up to 50 miles, 100 miles, and then even beyond, like the 24-hour event that I did. There are 2-day races, 48-hour races.
Right.
They just kind of vary. The Spartathlon, which I've won 3 times, is 152 miles. So, yeah, it just varies, but they can be on trails, they can be on roads.
I heard that the craziest one was in 2003, the Cross Europe ultramarathon from Lisbon, Portugal to Moscow, 3,200 miles or something ridiculous.
Yeah, there are some point-to-point races like that. There used to be one that ran from across, basically went from LA to New York. Unfortunately, it's kind of been up and down as far as whether it's held or not, but they're really hard logistically to organize, but they're around for sure.
And how does it work with having teammates when you're doing this?
For the most part, it's all individual. The team comes into play. You have a support crew, and a lot of these events allow you to get aid and support from your crew at certain aid stations. So somebody can provide you with a different energy drink or different food. Might provide you with ice in your hat or give you something to stay warmer. I mean, it really depends on the event.
So maybe it's more like having a pit crew if you want to compare it to.
Yeah, I would say more of a pit crew, definitely. It's more NASCAR style.
Okay. Now, you started eating vegan in 1999, but you had already been running at that point.
Yes.
Now, how did you come to the vegan decision?
Well, it really wasn't due to performance. I finally got the wake-up call as far as long-term health. My mother basically was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 8, possibly even earlier, and I grew up with chronic disease in my family, and a pretty tough one at that. Then I started working in hospitals during physical therapy school, and it just really started to hit home when I saw what my patients were eating for food and realized, the meat and potatoes diet, the hunting and fishing boy from Minnesota needed to change his ways. And I was eating 3-4 times a week at McDonald's at the time, and just really decided that I needed to change things. And then I read Dr. Andrew Weil's book, Spontaneous Healing, and he spoke about the benefits of a plant-based diet or a heavily plant-based diet, and that's what really kind of woke me up. And then I read Mad Cowboy by Howard Lyman about a year later, and I started realizing I need to change things up. And then, of course, my performance and my recovery, those changes did occur. I've noticed less inflammation, but it really was, I wanted to keep running, stay active, and stay healthy later in life. I look at it now as cheap health insurance.
Yeah. Pay for it now or pay for it later.
Exactly.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, you grew up in Minnesota, you grew up hunting and fishing, and that would be not the most typical place you would expect someone who's vegan to come from, and Minnesota isn't exactly the kind of place you expect a long-distance runner to come from. So, how did you get into running in the first place? I understand you actually hated it at first?
That's correct. I mean, I only did it because I had to do it at basketball practice, because I had to do laps or gym class, and later, I did it because I had to get in shape for cross-country skiing, something I did fall in love with, was really passionate about. Besides that, it wasn't something I was interested in. But a buddy of mine, Dusty Olson, showed me that running can be fun. And we'd go out for 2-hour trail runs, and he would take me all along these animal paths and connect them with ski trails, and we'd cross creeks and run through snow. And it just really showed me that, running could be fun. The time would just fly by. And then he was like, dude, you got to try this 50-miler thing. And literally, I signed up for my first marathon, Grandma's Marathon, and a month later, I was running 50 miles.
Wow, that's a really pretty steep curve, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I think it's like anything. If you get your mind set around something, or if somebody dares you to do something when you're 20, it's like, I'm going to go for it. And that happens to 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, where they just decide, something flips in their mind, and they're ready to okay, I'm going to take on this challenge. I'm going to go for it. It's like a lot of people now, they run their first half marathon. And that's why running's so popular. They don't need a team. They don't need special equipment.
You're just self-sufficient.
Yep, you can go out and do it, and you just decide to do it, which I think is great, especially in this stage when people don't want to exercise.
Right, yeah, I totally get that. Now, I wanted to ask you sort of an unusual question here. How would you say a vegan who is not a runner, how would they benefit from reading your book? What would they learn?
I would say they would learn that there's a lot of possibilities in exercise. You know, my goal isn't to turn somebody into an ultramarathoner, but my belief is that anybody can be an ultramarathoner. So my goal is to maybe ignite a little bit of that passion in somebody, like try something new exercise-wise. Because just like a lot of runners aren't necessarily the healthiest just because they run, they don't pay attention to their diet, I think there are a lot of plant-based folks that could benefit from doing some exercise. So it's like, I want them to realize there are more, I guess, pieces to the puzzle.
Sure.
You know, just everybody.
The other side of the coin, if you will.
Exactly, yeah.
They've always been talking for years about diet and exercise.
Exactly.
And the people in the vegan community have been really hyper-focused on the diet.
Exactly.
So this helps maybe kind of focus, not hyper-focus. Maybe you can go ahead and start running marathons.
And, you know, maybe they find something else. I mean, really, that's, some people find art, some people find their, you know, passion for music or whatever it is. But it's really, that's what Eat and Run is all about. It's about following one's passion, just seeing where it can take you.
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, you won the 100-mile Western States Endurance Run. It was actually on your first attempt.
That's correct.
And then you won it the next 6 times in a row. So that seems at least as impressive to me as Lance Armstrong's 7 Tours de France.
Yeah, well, it's funny because they were the same exact years that Lance
that's right. Yes, they were.
So, you know, it is one of my most impressive accomplishments, and I think it's a testament to the consistency. And that first Western States was the first year that I went plant-based, and you know, it was hard mentally to like, am I fueling my body properly? Is this a good time to go vegan? So I think
you got that vindication.
It meant a lot, and year after year, it was one of those things that I just kept trying to improve. So yeah, it goes down in my book as far as one of my greatest achievements for sure.
Coming off of the Lance Armstrong thing, is there such a thing as doping in ultramarathoning?
I think because there's so little money in the sport that there isn't. However, there are individuals that utilize ibuprofen, over-the-counter substances, possibly prescription-grade narcotics to like take away the pain, because discomfort is something you deal with no matter if you're running at the front of the race or the back. I've been tested. I've been on the USADA whereabouts plan for a year, all of last year, and I've been tested a bunch at events. And I think it's a good thing that we test for the sport, but in general, there's not enough money to warrant using the drugs. I mean, literally, there's hardly any prize money in most of these events. So,
I was going to say, wouldn't it be easier if people just went vegan?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's benefits to things that aren't necessarily performance-enhancing drugs, but they're performance-enhancing I guess, lifestyle changes that could result. I mean, there's obviously a lot of benefit with certain foods, but they're just not as quick. You know, they're not quick acting. So everybody, when they think performance drugs, they want something quick and easy. Much like pharmaceutical drugs, people want the quick and easy way out. Right.
This is just something that's sort of funny. At the Badwater race, it was 120 degrees, and one of the ways you dealt with the heat was by immersing yourself in a cooler of ice. Where do you get a cooler that big?
Well, you have a buddy like my buddy Rick Miller, who's got this major king-size cooler that he normally has filled with beer to help and crew throughout the course of this long race. You know, it literally takes people 48 hours sometimes. So you get him to empty his beer cooler and throw a bunch of ice water and ice in it, and there you have it.
God, that just blows my mind. And also, you ran the Austin Marathon in 2006?
Yes, this was the last time I was down here in Austin.
Okay.
It was the year of the ice storm, so I skated my way to the finish line.
I didn't realize that had happened at that time.
Freezing rain, and it was great to be here. It was actually my PR. I was hoping to run a bit faster than that, but I still broke it by 20 seconds or so.
Okay.
But
so you did pretty good.
Yeah, and I love Austin. It's a great city. It's a good place to come down, so I've been really stoked to be here.
And you're going to come back again sometime?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'd love to come back for the music festival, of course. By Southwest. But there's just a lot of great things happening here, I think, and it's a sign that food and running are alive and well down in South Texas. I mean, we've enjoyed a bunch of great food in the city, and that's what's been so enjoyable while traveling is getting to try some of that. It's a little tricky. My schedule's been crazy, so sometimes we've had to just settle for a quick burrito here and there at places.
Right.
But I usually try to at least stop at like one kind of well-known veggie place within the towns that we visit.
Cool. Well, I think you did it here, so
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to get together. And so people who are interested in catching where you're going to be stopping next on your tour can go to...
Yep. They can go to scottjurek.com/eatanrun/events, and they can check out both information about the book as well as where I'm headed next.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and thank you.
All right.